Hello everybody. Today I'm going to introduce you to Alice's Tiny Land. It's a land of stories and magic and more stories. I really hope you enjoy it.
I suck, Timmy.
There was once a sweet little boy, much loved by everyone, but most of all by his grandmother, who could never do enough for him. She once made him a little riding hood of red velvet, and as it looked so pretty on him, and he never wore anything else, people called him Little Red Riding Hood. One day his mother said to him, "Come, Little Red Riding Hood, here are some cakes and a flask of milk for you to take to your grandmother. She is weak and ill, and they will do her good. You should go before it starts to snow. Make sure you walk carefully and don't run, or you might fall and break the flask, and there would be none left for grandmother. And when you get there, don't forget to say good morning." "I'll be careful, Mother," said Little Red Riding Hood. "I promise." Now, grandmother lived in the wood, half an hour's walk from the village. Little Red Riding Hood walked carefully as he had promised, but halfway to grandmother's house he met a wolf. But as he didn't know what a bad creature he was, he did not feel frightened. "Hello, Little Red Riding Hood." "Hello, Mr. Wolf." "Where are you going so early, Little Red Riding Hood?" "To my grandmother's." "What are you carrying under your apron, Little Red Riding Hood?" "Milk and cakes which we baked yesterday. My grandmother is very weak and ill, so they will do her good." "Where does your grandmother live, Little Red Riding Hood?" "A quarter of an hour's walk from here. Her house stands beneath pine trees. You might know it from the red door." The wolf thought to himself, "That tender young thing would be a delicious meal, and would taste better than his grandmother. I need to find a way to get both of them." He walked with Little Red Riding Hood a little while and said, "Little Red Riding Hood, just look at the snow all round you and the trees you could climb. You are walking quickly as if you were going to school, and yet it is so delightful out here in the wood." Little Red Riding Hood looked around him at the sunbeams sparkling on the snow and the trees to play in, and he thought to himself, "If I were to take fresh firewood to my grandmother, she would be very pleased, and it is so early that I will still reach her in plenty of time." So he ran about in the wood, playing in the snow and collecting wood. He would find a fallen branch, and then see another a little farther off, and so he went farther and farther into the wood. But the wolf went straight to grandmother's house. He crept up to the house, sounding just like a small boy, and knocked on the door. "Who's there?" "Little Red Riding Hood. I have brought you some cake and milk. Please open the door." "Do you not remember? The key is under the rock as always. I'm too weak to get up." So the wolf searched for the rock, and underneath found the key. He unlocked it, opened it, and crept into the room. "Hello, grandmother." "Hello, Alex. I'm so happy to see you." The wolf crept towards the bed. "My, how you've grown!" "And when my belly is full, I shall grow yet more," cried the wolf, and leaped on top of grandmother, swallowing her whole before she could cry out. Then he put on her clothes and her cap, and lay down in her bed to wait. Little Red Riding Hood had been running among the trees all this time, and when he had gathered as much wood as he could hold, he set off once again to his grandmother's house. He was surprised to find the door standing open, and when he walked inside, he felt very strange, and thought to himself, "This feels so strange," he said, "Good morning." But there was no answer. He went up to the bed, and there lay his grandmother, with her cap pulled over her eyes, so she looked very odd. "Oh, grandmother, what big ears you have!" "All the better to hear you with." "Oh, grandmother, what big eyes you have!" "All the better to see you with." "Oh, grandmother, what big hands you have!" "All the better to hold you with." "But grandmother, what a big mouth you have!" "All the better to eat you with." And with that, the wolf leapt from the bed and tried to swallow poor Little Red Riding Hood, who cried out. At that moment, the door swung open. The commotion had been heard by a woodcutter who had come to investigate. The wolf ran to the door, seeking to make his escape. The woodcutter was standing outside as the wolf raced through the door. "You horrible beast, to mistreat a poor old woman so!" the wolf snarled. "Out of my way!" and jumped at the woodcutter. But the man was as quick as the wolf, and he heaved his axe and cut the wolf down the middle, rescuing grandmother. Little Red Riding Hood and the woodcutter put grandmother back in her bed, ill and weak and shocked from being swallowed. Little Red Riding Hood gave her the cakes and the flask of milk, which was still whole and had not been dropped. He placed the firewood by the hearth, wished her good health, and left her to sleep. Little Red Riding Hood walked swiftly all the way home. In the wood he saw more wolves, but already they knew it was dangerous to try to eat a little boy in a red hood. And from that day, anyone who went into the wood wore red, and the wolves never bothered them again.
Hello everybody! If you like the story, then like the video. If you love it, subscribe!
I suck TV.
Hi guys! If you like the videos, subscribe to the channel.
Bye!
Bye!